Mother's Day, and it's a day that we honor our mothers, our moms, and it is the principle of motherhood and the divine feminine. And this is a day of conscious loving and honoring the divine feminine in all of life. It's a creation story. It is the feminine quality in and as all that is created. And it's about the arts, it's about the music, it's about the writing, it's about the meaning, it's about the beginning of new life, a new choice, a new beginning. And you know, I'm not just talking about gender, as Diana said earlier. The feminine is within all of us. And this kind of conscious loving is the energy upon which the entire universe is created and held together. This is not something that we do. It's a principle. It's a quality of God that gives itself and nurtures life and holds everything together. And all we can do is surrender to that principle and allow for the quality to move through us. I'm going to let Morris in. You know, it's a quality of God that gives of itself and nurtures life and holds everything together. And that's pure love, unconditional love. And the model that we are given for this, the way of living, is motherhood and loving. And the only thing that gives us a chance to love as God loves is the fact that the feminine is within us all of us, that is. And this is the image and the magic of motherhood and of the divine mother. It is to get out of jail free card. It's the feminine liberates us from the prisons of the fasting, separate from one, it keeps us from separate from one another, or living in fear and judgment. That's why we call it the divine feminine or divine motherhood. A mother's love is so complete, so nurturing and nourishing. It can only be God loving through them. And Ernest Holmes had this to say about love. He wrote many passages about love, but in the Science of Mind textbook, he wrote this: love is the central flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself. The essence of love pervades everything, fires the heart, stimulates the emotions, renews the soul, and proclaims the spirit. Only love knows love, and love knows only love. So it's the divine motherhood is love. And so our lesson today is about the divine feminine. And I want to begin our lesson with two stories this morning. Both are true, but neither one of them is a bad joke requiring sound effects, as we've done before. And many of you have heard these stories before, but I think they're very appropriate for Mother's Day. The first one comes from the book, The Architecture of All Abundance, and was written a number of years ago by Lenedra Carroll, a fairly famous mother, a mother of the pop star Jewel, if any of you recall. So it seems very appropriate. And as the story goes, there was this little girl that watched the woman in the church with her new baby. And they were right next to her, seated right next to her. And the baby was snuggling in a soft white blanket and dressed up in a beautiful long white gown that was all lace and ribbons. And the lady cradled the little one in her arms and beaming down with a beautiful smile and cooing gently. And the glossy black hair fell across the savory blanket, snowy white blanket, touching the baby's cheek lightly. And after a while, the baby began to fuss and to squirm. And the mother crooned and said, shh, and rocked the baby carefully. Her eyes were so gentle. Shoo, shh. Her voice was soft and soothing and rocking. Shh, shh, shh. And as the baby quieted, the little girl by their side felt a deep longing. I want that, she said to herself. I want someone to hold me just like that. And she sat very still for a long time, pretending that she was the baby. It felt so safe and warm there next to this pretty lady. She felt loved. And the second story is about a client of mine. It occurred at a breath workshop some years ago when I was doing life coaching and doing breath work with clients. And this client had just done some emotional healing work around her mother, who had transitioned 2 years before, and then went into my transformational breathwork session. She had never heard of this modality and frankly thought it was a bit woo-woo, but no other session was an appeal to her. So she figured, why not? The experience turned out to be woo-woo. It did not turn out to be woo-woo, but wow instead. And nothing happened during the hour of lying down and breathing in that certain way. In fact, she said she thought it was a bit silly and she was kind of bored. But after the hour was over and when she was instructed to gently sit up, and as she did so, she said that she felt an indescribable rush of mother love enveloping her and filling her. It was like nothing she had ever felt before in her life. She laughed and she cried so hard that everyone thought she was having a breakdown, she said. And it changed her from the inside out. She felt that warm glow of motherly love. But the sense of being completely enveloped in protection and love in a safe and secure blanket, that feeling of having completely filled with indescribable, delicious, unconditional love is something I think that we all crave. We all crave that love, each and every one of us, whether we're a little girl or a woman or a little boy or a grown man, it doesn't matter. Some of us received it as babies, as children, as adults from our earthly mothers. Others, like the author Lenedra Carroll, who was the little girl sitting beside the pretty lady in the first story, she did not. And for those reasons, this Sunday is a bit of a mixed bag for me, because I want to honor the mothers and acknowledge the power of our earthly mother's love. But I am also very sensitive to those who never had it or felt it. So to approach this mixed bag today, I want us to do 3 things. First, we will recognize the critically important role our earthly mothers played in our lives. Second, we will look at the feminine principle or the concept of the divine mother love. And third, and I think of tremendous, perhaps greater importance, we will come full circle and connect with the divine mother love inside of us all. So starting first with recognizing our earthly mothers, because we all owe our mothers a deep and heartfelt thank you. Why do I say that? It's pretty simple. Without her, you wouldn't be here. And as Glinda said in the musical play of Wicked, as she began to tell the story of the Wicked Witch of the West. She had a mother, like so many people do. So some school-age children were once asked, why did God make mothers? And the answers included, she's the only one who knows where the Scotch tape is, and mostly to clean the house. Think about it. It was the best way to get more people. So that's why God created mothers. But the most insightful child said this, to help us out of there when we were getting born. Yes, without your mother, we would not have been born. So wherever you are on the mother continuum, on one end, having had the most nurturing and wonderful and loving and caring mother, to having on the other end, the Wicked Witch of the West as your mother, we each owe our mothers a thank you for bringing us into this world. Regardless of your relationship with your mother, just remember this, you will never know your mother's complete story, her deep down heartfelt thoughts and feelings. We are also taught in psychology that all actions are either an expression of love or in seeking love or fear. And in this case, it would be the fear of not having love and seeking it. So I have said now a couple of times that we owe our earthly mothers a thank you. But what if this morning we chose to freely give it? Freely give it. What if we chose to freely give a thank you to our mothers, whether they are still with us or not, whether they were wonderful or not so wonderful, whether they were present or in our lives or absent? Could we do that right now? Could we do that right now? If you will just please close your eyes for just a moment. And right now, if you will, in the silence of your own heart, thank your mother for bringing you into this world. Keep your eyes closed, please. And what if, just this morning, we gave our earthly mothers more than a thank you? What if, again, in the silence of our own hearts, we stepped up spiritually and we put on our big spiritual shoes and we chose to accept her for exactly who she is or was, with all of her gifts and all of her flaws, and celebrated her gifts and forgave her for her flaws and simply loved her? This will be easy for some of you and difficult for others. But could we do it anyway? You know, I'm reminded of a poem written by Mother Teresa entitled, Do It Anyway. And the first line reads, people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Love them anyway. So let's bring this third situation you'd like to forgive. Bring to mind a situation that you'd like to forgive, especially if there is one involving your mother. May you be truly happy. May you live in peace. May you live in love. And may all things work together for good in the life and in your life. And since we want that for her, we want it also for ourselves. So may I be truly happy. May I be truly peaceful. May I live in love. And may all things work together for good in my life. Now take a deep breath and know that you are loved right here and right now. Feel the love. And moving on, the concept of mother is so much greater than our experience with our earthly mothers. And we do it and ourselves a grave injustice when we limit our thinking to just this experience. It is, in fact, a spiritual concept, the concept of the feminine principle or the divine mother. So let's just take a look at that, the divine feminine. Although most of our religious upbringings has referred to God as Father, I love this mother analogy from the book of Isaiah 49, verse 15. Can a woman forget her suckling child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, she may forget, but I will not forget you. Behold, I have inscribed you upon the palms of my hand. And then Dr. Ernest Holmes refers to the feminine principle as the universal womb of nature, because it is creative and receptive, and it unconditionally nurtures and grows whatever falls into its embrace. Isn't that a softer way, maybe, of looking at the law that we have ever done before? I think it's a very gentle and loving description. And this is God in the mode of divine mother, not human mother, with all her history and flaws and pains and what have you. It is the divine mother who unconditionally nurtures and grows whatever falls into its embrace, or her embrace. This nurturing nature of the universe is the way and the very essence of unconditional love. The cosmic divine mother is always attending to her children in whatever way serves their eternal needs. She gives her children freedom to choose the rocky roads of life and experience all the pain of the path, and yet she is there when they call out for help. And like the mother bird who, when the chicks are ready to face the world, she pushes them out of the nest, and the cosmic mother allows us to experience life. But unlike the mother bird, our cosmic mother also allows us to come home to the divine at any moment. This too is the cosmic mother's nature. God, as the divine feminine, is unconditional love. And most of all of us have heard and agree with the statement that unconditional love is the most powerful force in the universe. The French mystic Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, I probably are not pronouncing the name exactly correct, but anyhow, he put it this way. The conclusion is always the same. Love is the most powerful energy of the world. And Buddhism has a wonderful story about the nature of this power. It is the voice of Yin, the feminine wisdom attributed to the Buddha. It is told that a powerful macho bandit approached the Buddha and informed him that he was a ferocious bandit and the mightiest in the world, and he was going to kill the Buddha to demonstrate his great power. And the Buddha says, well then, surely you can first grant me 2 wishes. And the bandit says, to get on with it. And the Buddha points to a small sapling tree nearby and says, please cut off the smallest branch on the young tree. And the bandit laughs and waves his sword and cuts off the little branch. And what is your final wish? the bandit said impatiently. And the Buddha bends over, picks up the small severed branch, hands it to the bandit and says, "Now put it back." Legend has it that the bandit achieved enlightenment in that instant as he understood the true meaning of power is to create life, not destroy it. Love creates. Love does not destroy. In the Science of Man textbook, again, Ernest Holmes writes this: love is the grandest healing and drawing power on earth. It is the sole impulse for creation. And that love is the love of the Cosmic Mother. It is the power to create life. It is the power to create life. And so, my friends, this Mother's Day, can we be a chance for us to consciously connect or reconnect with the principle of the divine feminine within ourselves, which is where the true power of unconditional love, the true power of creation resides. And to help us do that, I want to share a story with you that appeared on the nightly news a few years ago in Burlington, Iowa. The story is about the true nature of unconditional love and the power of the feminine principle, the activity of the Divine Mother, and when it is not covered up by human filters. And the story was entitled, "Dog Has Kitten for Lunch." And the narrative went something like this. You can understand why some visitors to the Burlington, Iowa Humane Society get a little freaked out. It's not every day you see a dog have a kitten for lunch, and not just a kitten. This dog is about to have a whole litter of kittens for lunch. The story of the unusual dining arrangement began a couple of months ago when Lily, a mix of lab and who knows what, was found along an old farm road, and she was pregnant and soon had 6 puppies who all got adopted. And everything was normal until one day the kittens showed up without a mother. And Teresa Kurt, who works in the shelter, said this: "We didn't know what to do. It would have taken a lot of effort to bottle feed all of these kittens." But then she came up with the possible solution. Even though there's a big difference between a dog and a cat, she thought, well, let's just try and see if they would have the kittens for lunch. And when she did, they had breakfast and dinner too. And she nurtured them in other ways, such as when one of the kittens fell into her water dish, she rescued the little troublemaker and carried it off to safety. So, is Lily unique or one of a kind? Perhaps not, because listen to this. There was a cat that heard an abandoned fawn crying for food and took in the little fawn. Or there was a goat that was raised by a baby horse. And perhaps most amazing of all, the leopard who is killing a baboon unwittingly created an orphan. And the leopard could have easily made the baby an appetizer, but instead sat down beside and mothered it. Mother cat having squirrels for it. Why would an animal show such grace? Science is still probably scratching their heads trying to unravel all of these mysteries, but the instinct to love and nurture must be deeply wired into all beings. And when you take away outside factors and influences, that is what we do. And it was a fellow by the name of Stephen Hartman from CBS News that wrote these stories in the Burlington, Iowa paper. But when you take away all of the outside factors, influences, that is what we do, is because this is what we are. We are love. We are each made in the image and likeness of the cosmic mother. Whether we are made female, male, it makes no difference. That is what we are at the core of our being. And this is who and what we are. And Lenedra Carroll writes this in her book. This love, in truth, simply is. Love is. Love is the essence of the life force surrounding us. It is what allows everything to have cohesion, and love is both our birthright and our legacy. Love is the original blueprint of our soul. The original blueprint of our soul. Love is what we are. It does not need to be searched for, worked at, won, or held onto. It is in us and around us. And we can take refuge in when we are afraid. We can tap into it to heal our hearts. We can send it out to a hurting friend. We can deepen into it and allow it to be the sole impulse for building our lives. And today, I invite you to do just that. Today, I invite you to build your life on a solid foundation of the love of the divine cosmic mother, which surrounds you, is you, comes from you, and goes back to you.